So, our first case study. Excuse me. The individual is a hypothetical native. They were born January 7th, 1980, 3:15 a.m. in Varanasi, India. So, we also see that we will interpret this chart through 4 lenses. The first one, of course, is Western tropical. Proceeding to Vedic sidereal, Chinese busy, and harmonic. So, whole sign houses. The ascendant is 26 degrees Scorpio. Sun is 15 degrees Capricorn in the 3rd house. Moon is 5 degrees Virgo in the 11th, conjunct the South Node. Saturn, 27 degrees Leo in the 10th. We see the chart ruler, which is Mars, Scorpio, in the 11th, Virgo, squaring Neptune and Sag, the first. Spiritual warrior, deceptive self-image. We see Jupiter in the 11th, Virgo, exactly trine Mercury in Capricorn, 3rd, great teacher. Yod, Moon, Virgo, Mars in conjunct Jupiter, Uranus. Actually, Moon at 5 degrees Virgo, quincunx Mars at 4 degrees Virgo. No, Mars at 11 degrees Virgo, Moon at 5 degrees wide. Our main patterns, Sun trine Saturn, 10th. It gives authority. Moon conjunct Ketu. Life purpose is Virgo service. Suggests a karma of health, healing, or analytical priesthood. So this person becomes a celebrated spiritual teacher whose teachings blend vigorous body-mind discipline, Virgo, with Capricorn structural faith. Now we move on to our sidereal positions, or Vedic Jyotish Lahiri Ayanamsha, 23 degrees 36. So our sidereal positions, Sun is at 23 degrees Sagittarius and Mula Nakshatra. Moon 18 degrees Leo, Purva Falguni, ascendant 18 degrees Scorpio, Jista. Vimshatari Dasha at birth, Mars Dasha since Moon in Leo, Nakshatra of Sun. Moon 18 degrees Leo is Purva Falguni, Venus ruled. Actually, Purva Falguni is Venus ruled, so start with Venus Dasha. So Venus major period from birth until age 20. At Makaraka, highest degree planet. Jupiter at 13 degrees Virgo, Uttara Falguni, so sole purpose is Jupiterian wisdom in an earth sign. Navamsha, ascendant becomes Sagittarius, Sun in Aquarius, fits the Dharma teaching. Note the Sun in Mula Nakshatra, the root star, ruled by Ketu, often gives a spiritual uprooting, deep research into mysticism, incredibly fitting for a prophet figure. Alright, on to Chinese Bazi. Well, January 7th, 1980, 3:15 a.m. So our lunar calendar is still in 1979 year. Chinese year starts at Chinese New Year, usually late January, February. 1980 is a monkey year, but before Chinese New Year, it's goat year. So year branch, goat way stem, 1979 is Jai Wei, month 7 Jan, still in 11th lunar month, Zai, hours Yin, Tiger, 3 through 5 a.m. Day stem need sexagenary cycle. And we're using tables. So the year pillar is considered Jai Wei, Earth Goat. The month pillar, Bing Zai, Fire Rat. And day pillar, we calculate and get the day stem branch. Day GZ is Jai Mao, Earth Rabbit. Hour is Yin hour, 3 through 5 a.m. Stem for a Jai Day. Jai Day starts with Bing. Yin hour is Bing Yin, Fire Tiger. And the 4 pillars, Jai Wei is the year. Bing Zai is the month. Jai Mao is the day. Bing Yin is the hour. Daymaster Jai Earth, week, born in winter. Output fire generates earth. Y and Yin have that hidden fire. Surrounded by the fire element, this person has strong charisma, parallel to Sun, trine Saturn in Western. Earth nature, stable, trustworthy, but also a double earth pillar, Jai Wei, Jai Mao, indicates rooted, maybe stubborn, spiritual, agricultural metaphor. So the case study illustrates how each system reveals a consistent archetype: teacher, healer, spiritual authority with different symbolic languages, and the night-trained student must learn to synthesize these into a coherent, multi-dimensional portrait. Now what I'm going to do is go over some advanced techniques in theoretical integration, such as dashas for Darya and zodiacal releasing. All are Time Lord systems mapping life chapters. The night train encourages cross-application. Transcribe the Vimshatari Dasha sequence into a Western chart by using the sidereal moon nakshatra as a proxy, or use the Hellenistic zodiacal releasing from Lot of Fortune to uncover career peaks and compare with Chinese luck pillars Dayan. They frequently align. The vertex, Black Moon Lilith, and the lots in global context. The vertex, Fated Encounters, has no direct Vedic equivalent, but it often aligns with the Birigu Bindu, destiny point, calculated from the moon's position. Black Moon Lilith, mean lunar apogee, corresponds to the shadow feminine, and Chinese astrology can be correlated with hidden stems or the herding officer energy in a woman's chart. Lots, Arabic parts, exist as well as in Vedic, Sahams, and Chinese secret points. Synastry and composite across traditions. So Western synastry compares house overlays, aspects. Vedic uses Kuta matching, 36-point test with Nakshatra, Varna, Yoni, etc. Chinese uses Baizi compatibility based on elemental clashing and day-master harmony. A night train marriage counseling includes a triple layer synastry, ensuring no fatal clash in any system. Chapter 8. Bridging Ancient and Modern Theories. Fate, Free Will, and the Parallax of Prediction. The night train's core philosophical position: the birth chart is a probability matrix, not a deterministic script. Each tradition's predictive technique highlights a different facet of the matrix. By combining them, you gain proximity to the whole. Karma, reincarnation, and the astrological imprint. Vedic nodes show past life karmic residues. Evolutionary Western astrology echoes this with Pluto and Ketu. Mayan day signs describe soul's intent. Together they paint a past life narrative. Short case is a client with Ketu and Ashwini, meaning Ketu is in the sixth house, Virgo, and Bezi day system. Bezi day stem, yang wood with strong metal, past soldier. It suggests a series of incarnations as a healer, physician, warrior. So, the noetic chart. It's a quantum soul model here, developed by Professor Quincunx. Overlay all major charts, Western Pluto-centric, Vedic sidereal, Chinese four pillars, Mayan destiny kin, and a multi-ring mandala. The convergences reveal the soul's signature. The divergences show the ego's theater. Advanced students learn to read the soul's chart by extracting the midpoint of all systems. Alright, chapter 9 is working materials for the night trained scholar. Essentially recommended ephemerides and software. So standard is Swiss ephemeris. It includes sidereal and fixed stars. Vedic, Jagannatha Hora, Parashar's Light. Chinese Bezi calculators, Ioi Dao Shu software, for example, Bezi Star, Purple Star. Mayan Zokin calculators, the Mayan calendar portal. Uranian, special Uranian software, Hamburg. Harmonic Astro Gold, solar fire with harmonic modules. Manual computation. Everyone aboard must calculate at least one chart by hand, including Vimshatari Dasha hurdles, to appreciate the gears. Next, we have the Essential Grimoire Shelf by tradition, and key text. So Hellenistic, Vedic, and what you should read or, try to do more research on. All right. So we have Astrological Magic, a cross-tradition ritual toolkit. And that would be, so like Vedic, Chinese, Western, Mayan, and then syncretic. So Vedic Grahashanti, planetary pacification mantras, yagyas. Chinese food talismans, destiny modification rituals, annual cures, for example, Tai Sui. Western planetary talismans, fixed star talismans, Kabbalistic correspondences. Mayan fire ceremonies for Nal, spirit guardian days. Syncretic, the night train's own harmonic chant using planetary vowels aligned across all systems. Alright, Chapter 10, the night train itself, carriages, faculty, and final exam. So, this is pretty conceptual here. You don't really have to read this or go over that, but this is the terminal transit manual. This is going to be a heavier topic. So, essentially, advanced astrology of death, disaster, and the great beyond for genius wizards who intend to die only when absolutely necessary, which could be right now. I could drop dead and have a heart attack at 21 years old because of how much cigarettes I smoke and alcohol I drink. I have the body, it feels like, currently, of like someone in their mid-30s. And that sounds terrible to say, but that's what happens when you don't fast and you're a heavy tobacco smoker. So, let's go into this. I just have my dad's genes in me, don't worry. My dad's a fucking alcoholic. And then my mom's dad, my grandfather, died of emphysema. So, yeah, it was pretty much fucked from the start. Anyways, a solemn but not morbid note from the Dean of Terminal Studies. You have reached the carriage at the end of the night train. It is painted a deep indigo, the color of the 8th ripple on Saturn's ring, and the door is flanked by 2 marble bas-reliefs, one of a scythe and one of an hourglass. Inside, the air smells faintly of myrrh, library dust, and very, very strong tea. I am Dr. Mortimer Sideville-Cross, formerly of the Guild of Celestial Undertakers, now Chancellor of the Faculty's Department of Terminal Transits. Please sit. The wingback chair will not swallow you, though its stuffing is spun from ghost thread, quite accustomed to afterlife whispers. You have chosen to study the most delicate, feared, and profoundly sacred branch of the astrological arts, the forecasting of death, both personal and collective. Many charlatans have bent this knowledge toward terror. Many cowards have avoided it entirely. You, a certified genius wizard astrologer of the night train, belong to neither category, with rigorous technique, unblinking compassion, and a cosmic sense of humor, because, truly, death is not the opposite of life, but its punctuation mark. We will explore the signatures of the terminal event. This manual covers the following. Viewer discretion is advised. Natural mortality, accident, murder, suicide, pandemic, and planetary cataclysm. Provides you with a toolkit drawn from every tradition the night train has ever rumbled through. It also instills the Saturnine silence, the ethical mandate that one does not shriek detailed death predictions into the unprepared ears of cocktail party acquaintances. You are a cosmic pallbearer, not a doomsday heckler. Alright, so I'm pretty sure I have... Oh, this only has 6.4 chapters. Interesting. So 6 chapters. Usually I go all the way to like 10 chapters, but hey. So, part 1, we're going to talk about the mortal foundation, anatomy of a fatal chart, which looks like it's going over the houses of the underworld, the 8th house, the 4th house, the 12th house, and the grave. The planets as psychopomps, Saturn, Pluto, Mars, Neptune, and the nodal reapers, the high leg, alkyl-codon, and the medieval lifespan formula, the Arabic lots, death, murder, catastrophe, and the part of the dagger, fixed stars of dire terminus, Algol, Antares, the Praesipi gateway, lunar mansions of ending, the 28th nakshatras, and their Chinese Umayyad kin. Part 2 looks like us going over predictive techniques for the final hourglass. So, primary directions, the grand old clock of mortality, secondary progressions in the terminal progressed moon, solar arc directions to the high leg and the ascendant, solar and lunar returns marking the year of the dark visitation, eclipses, the celestial sickle strokes, transits, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, Pluto as harbingers and accidents, zodiacal releasing from the LOF and LOS releasing into death, Vedic terminal tools, Maraka planets, Marita Bhagas, and the 8th from Saturn, Chinese Bezi, Clash of the Root, the Tomb Branches, and the Ministry of Death, Uranian midpoint pictures of fatality and catastrophe. "11 harmonic death signatures the 8th and 30th harmonics of the soul's release. Part 3, looking at the many mansions of death, a typology. Natural death, Saturn, Jupiter, Ceres in the gentle fourth, accident and violence, Mars, Uranus, Mars, Neptune, and the brittle first 8th axes. Suicide's complex chart, the 12th house, Neptune, Pluto, and the scream of moon and via combusta. Murder, algol on the ascendant. This is very important. So, I literally, with someone that has this placement, please beware. I might get fucking killed because somebody hates me that much. A group of people may hate me that much. You know what? I'm not even going to say what I can't. That's the thing. YouTube is not safe. I don't even feel safe as a human being, and a lot of us don't, and that's unfortunately the reality. That's why a lot of people do have guns. Anyways, murder. Algol on the ascendant is the lot of betrayal we're talking about as well. Also, Mars-Pluto titans. Epidemic and mass illness like COVID. The mundane 8th, Regulus in decline, Neptune-Saturn pandemics. Global catastrophe, the Titanic, 9/11. Tsunami, and the eclipse that shook the world. Then we're going to go over real case studies, because we don't play around here. I am locked the fuck in on teaching you guys astrology like never before. Like never before. You will not come on YouTube and find anybody else like me. You just won't, because I am me. So, we're going to talk about a lot of different people here and a lot of different things, and I'm not trying to overwhelm you. So let's slow down and see if you know these people. You know their names, at least, is what I mean. You didn't obviously know these people in real life, I'm assuming, but you've heard of their names. And you're probably wondering what really went down with their death. So let's talk about Diana, Princess of Wales, chased by the Dark Hound of the 8th. JFK, the presidential Death Star in the day Mars stood still. Kurt Cobain, the Neptune-Pluto cradle in shotgun transit. We're also going to talk about David Bowie, the elegant exit under a trine to Pluto. Abraham Lincoln, the prophetic dream in the dire solar arc. Julius Caesar, the Ides of March decrypted through primary directions. A hypothetical wizard's foreseen end and the ethics of a pacted extension, as well as collective death events, the sinking of the Titanic, the Indian Ocean tsunami, and 9/11. So we will be going through those. Part 5 is the Saturnine silence, ethics of death prognostication. The touch not the thread principle. When to speak, the 3 permission test. The death chart as a guide, not prophecy of doom. And then part 6 is practical tools and ephemerides for the terminal astrologer. Which looks like going over the highlight flowchart, a choose your own adventure of the lifespan, tables of malefic fixed stars and degrees, the lot of death computation for all traditions, and a terminal astrologer's Grimoire shelf. And we're going to end this video with an afterword, the carriage at the end of the train. I'm drinking my dog water over here, my cold dog water, my coffee. So, part 1 is the mortal foundation, anatomy of a fatal chart. Death is a chart becoming a map of where someone isn't. But to read it, you need to know the trailhead. So we look at the houses of the underworld. The 8th house. The house we think of first. It is death, but specifically death is transformation. Like loans, legacies, partners, resources, crossing of the threshold. It is the house of the moment the soul leaves the vehicle. But it is also the house of debts and shared nightmares. In death prediction, look to transits of malefics through the 8th, especially by conjunction with the cusp or lord. Progressed 8th house cusp, changing sign, activating a new epoch of mortality awareness. The 8th house in solar returns in overoccupied 8th often marks a year of intense transformation that may include physical death. The 4th house is the end of life, the tomb, the grave, the ancestors. In many ancient systems, for example, Ptolemy called it the end of things. Death is more accurately a 4th house event, believe it or not. Some people will still say the 12th house, and we're going to argue. So we look at the 4th house for the place of the final retreat. Where did they die? That is the 4th house. You don't get that from the 12th. We get that you died from something there, your diagnosis, your disease, but where did you die? That's the 4th. The home hospice, or the hidden ancestral call, your generational trauma coming into play. So the 4th house in lunar returns in the last place the moon visits before the end. Eclipses over the natal 4th often mark a death in the family or the native's own passing. And then we argue about the 12th house. It's the dissolution of the self, right? The return to the vast ocean of consciousness. It's death itself, but way different, vastly different from the 8th house and the 4th. It is the gate of death in the sense of liberation. Strong 12th house emphasis and predictive work suggests a death surrounded by mystery, hospitalization, or a quiet slipping away in sleep. I don't know if you guys know the musician Sick Brain. She has a song called Die Quietly. It's very 12th house. It literally breathes 12th house energy. Die Quietly. Very good song. But I'm a Pisces stellium, so I like shit like that. So the axes of the 2nd and the 8th, and the 7th first axis. So death is the dissolution of the body, which is your 1st house, all right? Through the portal of the 8th, and transits of the outers to the 1st, 7th axes, especially when simultaneously hitting the 8th, are critical. The planets as psychopomps. Saturn, the Grim Reaper, he brings death through age, chronic illness, structural breakdown, and the sheer weight of time. Because Saturn's transits to the high leg ascendant or lord of the 4th, especially when stationary, are classic death signatures. This is what we see. Pluto, the transformer, death by intensity, by complete system overhaul, by the purging of what no longer serves, often involved in violent, sudden, or deeply karmic deaths. We see murder. We see war with Pluto. Mars, the slicer and dicer, accidents, fevers, shootings, burns, sharp objects, all right? Mars-Uranus is explosive accidents. Mars-Neptune is toxic, drowning, anesthesia, mishaps. Neptune is the dissolver, death by drowning, gas, drug overdose, or a slow wasting away where the boundaries of the body dissolve. Also, the planet of exquisite, peaceful transitions when well aspected, the saint's death. Uranus, the sudden disruptor, electrocution, falls, sudden accidents, heart attacks out of the blue, cardiac arrest. Uranus transits to the 1st, 8th axis are prime accident indicators. And the nodes. Rahu and Ketu. Ooh, that's not my best. Alright. So Ketu, the south node, is moksha, the severing, while Rahu is obsessive, leading to death through excess, foreign influence, or unexplained forces. And eclipses on or from the nodes are the most ancient death triggers. Alright, on to the high leg in alkyl codon, the medieval lifespan formula. The high leg is the giver of life, a point or planet that holds the vital force. The alkyl codon is the giver of years, the planet that determines how many years the native can live. The medieval system works roughly as follows. Locate candidates for high-like in order. Sun, if in a high-like accepting house, which is the 1st, 10th, 11th, 7th, or 9th. The moon, if in accepting houses, then the ascendant, then the POF, then the prenatal Syzygy point. The high leg's ruler, or the planet binding the high leg by aspect, becomes the alkocodon. The alkocodon's years, based on its essential dignity and aspects, determine the base lifespan. A strongly dignified alkocodon, unafflicted, can grant 100 or more years. An afflicted one reduces the term drastically. When the primary direction of the high leg reaches the body or aspect of a malefic, the anareta or killing planet, at the age given by the alkocodon's promise, death is likely. Alright. So, the night train teaches the medieval high leg method not for fatalism but to understand the arc of vitality, always combined with modern methods. The Arabic lots. A lot of death, pares mortis, is the ascendant adding the 8th cusp, subtracting the moon, or variations. Its position and transits can trigger death events. Often conjunct a malefic and natal promises a violent death. Lot of murder is Mars and Saturn subtracting moon, some formulas. It shows where one might be killed. Its transits are hair-raisingly accurate when unleashed. Lot of catastrophe is the ascendant adding Uranus subtracting Saturn, modern, used in mundane charts. And a part of the dagger or sword is the ascendant adding Saturn subtracting Mars, which is acute danger. Alright, fixed stars of dire terminus. Algol, 26 degrees Taurus, the demon star, decapitation, violence, choking. When the natal or transiting high leg is conjunct Algol, extreme caution. Antares, 9 degrees Sagittarius, the rival of Mars, death by fire, weapons, combat. Paisipi, 7 degrees Leo, a cluster that can mean death through mob, crowd, or suffocation. Vindemiatrix, 10 degrees Libra, a star of widowhood and harvests often involved in tragic relationship deaths. The Pleiades, 0 degrees Gemini, sidereal longitude varies. In Chinese astrology, the Pleiades, the 18th Zhu, are connected to mourning and tears. So transits or progressions to these stars, especially when in hard aspect to the high leg or ascendant, should be flagged in red ink. Alright, on to lunar mansions of ending. In Vedic, Revati, which is 16 degrees 40 through 30 degrees Pisces, is the last nakshatra, ruled by Mercury, the Pushan, the psychopomp. A strong Revati placement often indicates a gentle death, a spirit guide waiting. In Chinese, the 28th is Yuan, or the last mansion around the tail of the dragon. The Arabic Menazil al-Batn al-Hut, the belly of the fish, linked to drowning. Alright. Part 2 is predictive techniques for the final hourglass. We have primary directions, the grand old clock of mortality. A primary direction is a symbolic movement of the chart's angles and planets by 1 degrees of right ascension per year of life. So our Ptolemaic here is 1 degrees equals 1 year. Directed ascendant or high leg to the body or beams of a malefic, especially the anaretic degree, the 29th of any sign, where the energy is frantic, frequently times the death event. For example, directed ascendant, conjunct natal Saturn, or square natal Mars. The night chain recommends checking. Directed high leg to the body of the anareta, directed 8th cusp to the natal ascendant, completing the death cycle. Alright, on to secondary progressions to the terminal progressed moon. The progressed moon cycles roughly every 27.5 years. Its aspects at the time of death often tell the story. Last progressed lunar aspect before death, a hard conjunction, a square, or opposition to malefics, especially Saturn, Pluto, or the 8th lord. progressed moon entering the 8th or 12th house, progressed new moon or full moon falling on a malefic degree. A progressed full moon in the 8th house is a powerful surrender. Similarly, the progressed sun changing sign, the new 30-year chapter, can coincide with death if the progressed chart is overwhelmed by malefics. Solar arc directions to the high leg. Solar arc directions move every planet by the same arc as the progressed sun, about 1 degree per year. Very popular in German schools. A solar arc directed Pluto or Saturn conjunct the natal sun or moon, or hitting the ascendant, is a death arc. Case study after case study shows SA Pluto equals ascendant, SA Saturn equals sun at the year of death. Solar and lunar returns. Solar return. If the SR ascendant or MC falls exactly on the natal 8th house cusp, or the SR 8th lord tightly aspects the natal 1st lord, that year demands reverence. A solar return chart with Mars-Saturn conjunction in the 8th or with the Sun tightly conjunct Pluto is a red alert. Lunar return, the extreme short-term trigger. Check the LR for the month of death, usually a flooded 8th house or a chart ruler under siege. Eclipses, the celestial sickle strokes. A solar or lunar eclipse across the natal ascendant, descendant, the first 7th axis, or the high leg, within a degree or two is the most traditional portent of death or major catastrophe. The ancient maxim, the eclipse that falls on your birthday degree is the gatekeeper. Eclipses on the 8th, 2nd axis are similarly fated. A series of eclipses in a short period repeatedly hitting the same sensitive point is an undeniable warning. Transits. Saturn, transiting the natal sun, moon, ascendant, or 8th cusp, particularly when retrograde stationary on those degrees, can mark the moment of decline. Uranus transiting the ascendant, or the 1st house ruler, often with a sudden hard aspect to Mars, triggers accidents, aneurysms, and electrical fatalities. Neptune transit to the moon or sun can culminate in drowning, overdose, or gentle dissolution. Pluto, transiting the sun or moon, is a deep transformation that can be literal death if the soul has completed its business. Always check for simultaneous positive aspects. Some people survive Pluto transits and are reborn, some do not return. Transiting nodes, Rahu Ketu, crossing the natal high leg or 8th cusp, are karmic eaters of time. Combined transit with direction and progression. The triple conjunction, a direction, a progression, and a transit all triggering the same point, is the astrological seal of the terminal envelope. Zodiacal releasing from LOF and Spirit. In Hellenistic astrology, releasing from the lot of fortune for body health and from lot of spirit for career life direction gives periods of activation. A loosing of the bond, LB period, especially in LB into a malefic-ruled sign or the sign of the 8th, marks times of extreme vulnerability. When the releasing peak period coincides with the primary direction high leg hit, the probability of death becomes astronomically high. Vedic terminal tools. Maraka planets, killers. Traditionally lords of 2nd and 7th houses, the Maraka Shathanas, their dasas or antardasas are death-bringing, also planets associating with them. Marita Bhagas, fatal degrees, certain degrees in each sign are death-inflicting points. Transits of malefics over these degrees in the natal chart or Deprasna chart. 8th from Saturn in D1 and D9 in the Vimshatari Dasha system. If the Dasha Lord is Maraka or placed in the 8th from Saturn, there is a strong death tendency combined with the transit of Saturn over the natal moon or the 8th Lord, the event times. Ketu Dasha Bhukti. Ketu's period is classically for moksha and often brings death if the native is old or the chart is in terrible shape with a lot of debilitated, afflicted planets, hard aspects, etc. Chinese Beizi, clash of the root. In Beizi, the day master represents the self. The day branch is the root of the day master. When a luck pillar, 10-year cycle, or annual pillar clashes with the day branch, the root is pulled out, threatening life. Other signatures. The tome branches. Chen, dragon, is the tomb of water and earth. Wei, goat, is tomb of wood. Zhu, dog, is tomb of fire and earth. Xiao, ox, is tomb of metal. If the Daymaster's element falls into its own tomb branch during a clash, it is a classical death sign. Right. The death and emptiness stars, certain deities in Baisi, like the void emptiness or the inauspicious star, when activated by a clash, can imply mortality. 3 killings, Sansha, an annual affliction that can cause accidents if the house system is disturbed. Uranian midpoint pictures of fatality. The Hamburg school has precise formulas. For death, Hades adding Saturn equals the ascendant, sun, or moon. Accident, Mars adding Uranus equals the ascendant or first lord. Murder, Mars adding Saturn adding Pluto equals ascendant or hard aspect. Catastrophe, mundane, Kronos adding Hades equals midheaven of the nation. The midpoint tree of the event chart, sinking, crash, will light up with the same pictures. Alright, harmonic death signatures, the 8th harmonic octile 45-degree series, the stress chart. A planet forming conjunctions, oppositions, or squares in the 8th harmonic chart indicates the native's relationship to death. When the progressed 8th harmonic brings the Heilig into a T-square, the structural integrity of the body is challenged. The 30th harmonic, semi-sextile, 12 degrees. John Addy linked the 30th